Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Empower podcast. This is your host, Brett Bazzelli, and I have a guest here out of Northeast Ohio. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Drago, and I am Brett's bestie.
Yep, we have met. We've known each other quite a while, clear over a decade, folks, and finally got around and invented the possibility of this episode. So enjoy it. Take on what it is you need, and if this is your first episode of Empower, it's okay. It's a podcast founded by healthcare professionals for healthcare professionals and members of the general public, truly wanting to make a difference in all things health and wellness. And we are also sponsored here by Yonia Health Tech, along with Peace World Financial. Thank you all. Shout out there real quick. And I want to start off, since we're giving shout outs, Drago, again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, or a thank you, or acknowledgement at this time before we progress into the episode?
Yeah, shout out to RFK.
Shout out to RFK. All right. We have a shout out to anyone else?
Leading the charge for making America healthy again.
Yeah? All right. I think we're not going to get into this too much, folks. Again, we'll just take that overall shout out. Is there anyone else you'd like to acknowledge?
Yeah, shout out to God. He's pretty cool too.
Shout out to God. Yes. Thank you, God, for allowing us to be here in this moment, at this time, in this point of the universe, going 66 point whatever miles per hour across the universe, and to invent this as a possibility. Yeah. Stardust to stardust. Peace be with you. All right. So let's kick off here with what, in your opinion, is happening in healthcare or health and wellness.
I think right now we're at the most pivotal fork in the road of where healthcare is going to change directions into the future but I think we had the option for it to go even worse than it is, or for it to get better. And I think with RFK about to lead the way and get the nomination for the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of corruption being exposed. We're going to be seeing a lot of actual accurate testing done for medical practices, actual information instead of paid off studies that don't actually represent the data, unless other than what they're paying for it to represent. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming up here soon, especially with AI. AI and policy. There's going to be a lot of changes happening. A lot of corruption is going to be exposed here shortly.
Yeah.
What's been going on in the country.
And out of Ohio, too. I mean, I'm originally from Ohio, again, but Cleveland Clinic, they were working with, speaking of AI, right? Supposed to dive right in here with AI. They were working with Watson before, I think back in, I graduated, 2016, 2017. They were just like installing servers. And I think now in Massillon, there's companies that are pretty much going to the whole semiconductor route and even into so it's just interesting to see this, and that's not even having to do with health and wellness yet. Like, since I've last had this episode too, I've been in a Twitter space actually, and it was, I was traveling internationally. I was able to invent the possibility with CEO of a company called Solve.care. Again, not sponsored by them, but they're inventing the possibility of involving blockchain technology with medical records. And then there's other companies now that are looking into the ability for the consumer then to monetize on that while keeping anonymity. But of course there's the question of integrity, whether it's health, wellness, data sharing, any of it is integrity, and of even results of previous research. I'm really touched that you had touched upon just the overall landscape of healthcare changing too, because it's going to be on the educational route, because that's one of the other things that's happening constantly within healthcare is you'll have the students that are there, right? And some people don't like, they have the discrimination of, you don't want the student, or you don't want the resident doctor who's never done surgery before. And it's almost like that's one part of the system, like there's the attending usually, and the attending's usually above wherever it is they look to, that's their mentor, whether they're a resident doctor or newer to the system, or even practitioner. Even nurses are that way too. I mean, Cleveland Clinic, I'm not here to throw too much out at Cleveland Clinic, but they and most other healthcare systems in Northeast Ohio and everywhere else have the resident system onboarding, and that's another area of integrity new nurse and for them to learn what it is they know. And I can only imagine how many books and chapters will be cut out now of whether or not this is valid. I think, what was it? On the pharmaceutical route, there was a, is it pseudoephedrine? And double check these folks, but it's one of the ingredients on your antacid, on your, what is it called? Let me think here. Alka-Seltzer. Your Alka-Seltzer, your effervescent is the generic name. There's an actual ingredient on all of those that are probably still on shelves right now as we're speaking, Drago. And one of those ingredients has been found even by the FDA in the last year, I'd say, even less than that, last 6 months, to be ineffective. So somehow even the companies can still profit on the other 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients, even though that one inactive one. But in their ingredients, if you look close to it, it does say inactive ingredients on the bottom. So, something's got to give here, because if it is part of, reportings for FDA, then okay, that's one thing. But if it's being inadvantageous for monetary gain, then that's another, So, and that's the real conversation, I think, is possibility of health. Because, man, I honestly think the greatest the greatest wealth is health. It's both of them. It's both ways. It is, but it's not. And to see that in today's world, to have that, it's almost another investment, It's another area of life that you look to, and hopefully it pays dividends, And for those who don't understand what that means, it's something you look into, and you set aside. Or what's the term that they say with banks? Oh yeah, what's that term? Oh, the term is save. Oh yeah, save. Sorry, must have slipped my mind. But yeah, anyways, is to have that. But you can also have that area of saving yourself in life too by having that. But having the support, like I can only imagine health classes now, instead of teaching whatever it is that was taught, or the changes in vending machines. I just threw a lot out there, but we're looking down even to dyes now, where we have departments here that are looking now at comparing other parts of the world the same product, and having different ingredients, and having no consumer complaints. That's the other one. Somehow there's no, I haven't heard someone in Germany go, I don't like these Fruit Loops, or somewhere else go, not enough. That's just not enough sugar, or maybe that's just here. There's not enough sugar here in the United States,
It's funny. The whole purpose of healthcare is very highly intentioned to
first to do no harm. First to do no harm.
Well, that's the opposite now. It has the intention to do the greatest good for people. Yet it's become the source of the greatest evil. So anyone that's paying attention to what's happening right now is asking questions. Why is it that we have the most intricate healthcare system? We're spending the most per person, per capita in our healthcare system. Yet every single year, everybody's getting unhealthier. There's more diseases. There's more chronic illnesses. The rates for everything. Every spectrum is people are declining in health in every which way, shape, and form. So why is it so drastic? Why is it happening so quick? Is what everybody's wondering. And RFK's come along, and he's been answering a lot of these questions that people are seeing what's happening. Maybe they're not quite sure, but he's coming and he's making sense to people, telling them the truth and transparency of what's happening, and that's going to be the next step that's going to set our healthcare system free from the evil, is just truth and transparency.
And I think a lot's going to come out. A lot of things that even people within the system, because healthcare professionals, I even tweeted and shared about it, are leaving the bedside, just the way that the integrity system is. Because even for me, some people are like, this isn't what I signed up for, and that's happened throughout occupations, about all of history, and just the areas of discovery. But I don't know, it's going to be quite something to see also areas with funding. Because from what I just got to share from last night on Twitter, was there's some Americans that are living to be 150 years old and still collecting Social Security. So I can't wait to be 150 years old here in the United States and collect Social Security, and it's a joke, folks, it's a joke. But anyways, and to see what that looks like, because that's just one of them. How many other areas of this onion, I guess is the best way, if we have to relate through an area of relatedness, is how much of this are we going to peel back and see, So, and there's what we know, we don't know, we don't know, we don't know. But here's the thing. When we speak of RFK, I do want to also, speak on both sides. There are people, and of course there are people for people and people of people, regardless. But some people look at RFK as not with it, not as totally up to date, not as evidence based. At the same time and same token, anything you kind of say about that, and this is the way I kind of see it, you also say about the integrity of the healthcare system, because he was also a patient for a good period of time. Good, bad, or indifferent what it was for, he was still a patient of the system and still got to go through it. And even me as a nurse, and I've been at the bedside, I can tell the frequent flyers. Nurses and healthcare providers, we know it, and it's not nothing a bad thing. It's have that as an area to start. So people can kind of know, like, this isn't like your first rodeo, and if you don't like rodeos, it isn't your first walk on the beach. Like, so, or whatever it may be. And I say those because it's usually an unfortunate situation when you have to declare it, but why not start there? So, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the integrity of RFK? I guess that's what the point would be.
He's the only one that's truth and transparent.
Yeah. What about him being on the plane? There's a picture of him, and again, you have to watch with deep fakes and whatnot. He's literally taking what is it called, methylene blue, and he's literally just dripping it into his glass. And some people are, they're looking at the integrity of the system, but again, you have even politicians looking into alternative areas of health and wellness. And I'll never forget, and I've said it before on the podcast, I only had one class. I had one class on alternative therapies, Drago. That was all I had at the University of Akron. They wanted us to have that and move forward. They did express Qui-Gon. They did go in depth into different cultures. I'll give them that. But
do you wonder why is the healthcare industry is also one of the largest providers of grants for the universities where everybody's educated to get into the healthcare industry. The big pharma controls the educational system where the people are getting entered into getting into healthcare. So, of course, they don't have you take any on true health, so or nutrition, and that's concerning. I think fixing our healthcare, like I said, it starts with truth and transparency, and it's rooted deep into our educational system. From the moment that we're kids and we go to school, our public school systems are feeding our kids highly processed foods with chemicals high in sugar without actual nutritional basis. And that's what we learn is normal. What we have in schools, and our schools we're shoving dairy down our throats. Drink 3 glasses of milk a day to keep your
starchy foods that can be mass produced and prepared within a finite amount of time. Yeah, that is something, and that's where it starts. I mean, that's one of the areas where it starts. I mean,
as kids, and then even those that want to get into the healthcare industry when they're older, like whether it's they want to learn for themselves what it means to be healthy, or they want to help others be healthy. All they learn is how to prescribe drugs. That's not health. We have to redefine our basis of what health means and what it is, what it looks like, and go back to the actual scientific method of studying what works and what doesn't work.
I got a question for you on that, of what works and what doesn't work, because I feel like, and as you have traveled, you can share on what it is you've traveled and what you've seen, and what you've heard and whatnot. Would you say too that health and wellness can also be and serve as a bridge culturally, and that if we don't just have to be taught cultural competence by itself, that literally wanting to be healthy or wanting to be well is something I think across I don't want to speak for the whole world here, I really don't, but I think we all want to have as an area that we can share and learn from. And what better way than to, at least as one avenue, it doesn't mean it's one size fits all here, but to have that and then to grow with that. And even at a younger age, if everybody was able to somehow intermingle in some way, shape, or form and share the health and wellness aspect, because you go to a remote tribe somewhere else, first of all, they don't know who you are, and then second of all, they have their own way of doing things, and they're still there. Certain generations have still carried down. So I don't know if you wanted to share kind of on cultural competence, the cultural ability, and the relatedness, I guess, that we could have or do have or that you've seen.
Ability. Well, America's definitely got the worst culture for food. Standard American diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all just stems down. I don't even think it's more of a cultural thing, but as an educational thing, and what our schools are teaching us as kids, what's healthy, what's not. And, you know, you learn that the food pyramid and the dairy campaign pushes, they're, you know, telling you what to eat every single day is funded by the same institutions that are making all the money off of that.
And some of them have a history too of getting marketing advice from, and this even happened with the breakfast campaign too, from cigarette companies way back when. Yeah, you know, and it's been found out that this is literally it, and it was to sell. You know, it was literally to sell. And food is another area of cultural areas. Everybody wants to eat. Unless you're fasting, usually everybody wants to eat. You know.
Yeah, I think COVID woke up a lot of people just to how corrupt our healthcare system has been. That really shed a lot of light onto people, that they were able to convince hundreds of millions of people so easily to inject a foreign substance into their body that really wasn't studied.
Yeah. Or at least not usually would be the template. Again, good, bad, or indifferent. That is what occurred, you know. So it was fast passed. Like I did not. You know, I'll tell you this. In nursing, right, right. And in nursing school, I'll tell you what. I never learned about, first of all, a fast tracking of a vaccine and then administering it. So
listening to these authoritarian that just because they have some degree or some suit on, like they know better than them.
Hmm? And here's the other one is access. I'm finding this one out, you know, existing within the Denver area, and psychedelics. I just want to touch upon them because RFK has even touched upon them too, since we're touching upon RFK. So he talked about, in his own way, that, you know, they shouldn't be as suppressed, that they are suppressed. And then what it is I'm finding out is India, literally less than 24 hours ago, just changed the category, stating now on their area that the psilocybin and magic mushrooms are no longer deemed a narcotic. And I think that's another area of relatedness. And I'm blown away. This is all happening in real time too. But what a time to be alive, to be able to share it, because, you know, there's talks everywhere of just this is one of the areas, which is mental health. I mean, it's all over LinkedIn, it's all over Facebook, but it's in whatever way that it is. And some people are just dancing around it. And it's another area, I think, culturally and across the world that we all share. I mean, on a past episode 2, there's the term ancestral trauma. And I think literally I have my own side theory on it too, but that we've inherited the stuff that we have too as well, and we're existing within our own existence and being. So I can, and it's amazing, for thousands of years these things have been used, but somehow they were cast out for whatever period of time. And then you had your counterculture, and I honestly think we're in the Renaissance or counterculture now too, for trying it on and seeing. Because here's the other interesting part. I don't know how long it takes for the pharmaceutical company to make any drug. I don't. As a nurse, I mean, if I looked it up, I'm sure I could find it. But for some reason, when someone wants to grow magic mushrooms, it can be done in like a month and a half or 2 or 3 months, depending on what it is you're doing. But
it's great though now.
And the same thing with hemp and marijuana. Like, it can be grown faster in the drugs that are being done, at least, and you know where it is that they come from and what it is that it can do. Now, the integrity of it, of course, it's an area of discussion. Let's look at it. You know, this isn't 1960 anymore. You know, the war on drugs, what it was. There's more dangerous things to talk about than drugs and guns, and I like to always, you know, go off from there. But still, this is someone's own health and wellness where, you know, again, let's go to that remote native tribe. Somehow they're still a human. They still share all 46 chromosomes that we have, you know, and they still use that for their own health and wellness. Matter of fact, it's almost to the point where people in villages all literally take these substances at the same time. And it's almost like a whole like tribal meeting where it's like, yeah, they must be having a bad week, or yeah, this was definitely what's occurring with them. Let's give them some space. Let's back up, you know. Like, and imagine that. And I'm not saying, you know, walk around, you know, in an area with people you don't trust, intoxicated on a substance that's been known for thousands of years to do what it is to do. But if that is who it is you occur with, and again, and that's the frame and lens, I guess we see ourselves in a big civilization or in suburbia or whatnot, or versus rural here, or even just in the United States versus a native tribe, say in the Amazon, So, but effectivity is somehow still there. Somehow those tribes are still there, and there's even some substances that we still don't know how the heck they came to be down there. Another one was ayahuasca. Somehow, two plants out of the 1,100 some plants were combined by us humans that we know of in the Amazon, and were combined for whatever experience people have on ayahuasca. So it's going to be interesting because that's literally the trip. People are literally having these psychedelic trips. So it's going to be interesting if there's even a campaign called Make America Trip Again, because there's all these Make Americas. Don't get me wrong, it is America. Now we have the Gulf of Mexico is the Gulf of America now. And it's interesting to see all this happen and to know that we're really the forefront, we're the establishment. And if we don't discuss it, if we don't want to at least raise awareness to it, then who? And at what time? Those are my questions I usually ask. But for me, I think it even breaks down to legislation. And there's we have our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, at least in the United States. That's what is written from what I've seen and heard. So why not have cognitive liberty, and safety, and know how to try these things on, and let your provider know, try to hide in the background, or have them piss test you and then go, we know, even though you're there for something totally different. Like, that shouldn't be a shameful situation, honestly. I think, and this is just good, bad, or indifferent for people. The people who are going to use whatever kind of substances they are going to use them regardless. It's their own. I'm not saying it's their right, but I mean, it's their brain. They literally have locks and keys in their brain for it, and they know it. So, and I think it's the access to being able to. And what was it, a month or two ago? I was actually driving, and I ran into. I was going to Chicago for a musical with my girlfriend Haley. I'm thankful for her. Shout out to Haley. So. And when we were on our way, I stopped at, right before we got out of the Ohio border, at one of the rest stops. And inside of it was Narcan. It was a container with Narcan. And I was like, this is quite something. Now, it depends on the discussion and what people, good, bad, or indifferent, but again, access. Where I went to the University of Akron, they didn't have a vending machine with a testing kit for drugs. Now they do. It's literally not too far from the business center, where they have at the University of Akron, right off it's right close to the Palmer building. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I know what they did have. They had condoms. They had condoms in the student rec center. They definitely had those. So they were looking out for one barrier, I guess, for people. But there's all these other barriers that exist, and I think people will be curious. People will look at it, and I think it's the own conversation, because I think baby boomers, as they've been called, or those who are about to enter into their retirement, they had their parents' generation with whatever conversation or story they had when it came to even such things as psychedelics, or even discussions and things that are happening at this very moment. Some people, they didn't want to turn the tides, or see what that looked like, or try it on and, get a majority rule, which is what, we the people, good, bad, or indifferent. Also, from what I've realized with the USA is it's kind of against our own standard if we don't get along, That's another reason why it says we the people, So, and it's the integrity of being able to have that too, because that barrier can get in the way of even changing what it is we're talking about here, So.
Yeah, you can go to any head shop here in Ohio now and get mushrooms, basically in the form of chocolate or gummies.
Yeah, or spores. They do sell them separately, because if you put the one and the other, it's literally what's called manufacturing. Again, I'm not here to break the law, here to allow you to make your own conscious decisions here. But wow, and you discovered that yourself. Okay, and even now too, and this is another thing I want to talk about, because I saw we have a new lieutenant governor, and I say we because at the time I am in Ohio, folks, but there's a new lieutenant governor in Ohio, and believe it or not, they used to work at the University of Akron in the Office of Engagement. And that's Jim Tressel, folks. If you don't know who Jim Tressel is, he was a head coach at Ohio State University as well. And now he is the lieutenant governor. So it'd be interesting to see what Jim Tressel thinks, because having the background within sports and wellness, because from what I have discovered too, there are medical establishments, because I did also hear, and folks, do your own research on this, that it is against the law for establishments to call their cannabis recreational it is to either be medical or non-medical. Places will literally be fined. So just keep that in mind if you're going in. It's not recreational in the state of Ohio. It seems like everywhere else it is. If you want the answer as to why this is, I encourage you to call your state legislator and ask, or write a letter, because I'm sure they may have a better answer for you than me at this time. Because I'm at the point where I think it's time for, as with any kind of area of the law, where people will try things on and get a majority vote. And if we need to, there is, and I say we, I'm not trying to speak for everybody here, that we'll have a consensus of our peers. And is there no way, shape, or form that this nation and the world, I guess, was founded? So past, hierarchies and, royal families and X, Y, and Z, not to douse them out, they are what they are, but, and we are here, and that's another reason why the USA exists too. So, wow. So I wanted to touch a little bit on gratitude and self-expression. You're definitely a self-expressed person, and you've definitely been an avenue for the acknowledgement of gratitude. Of the two, or if you could pick one, is there an area you'd like to talk about too that I think we could improve of here on the Earth as a planet, we the people?
Sure. I mean, everything comes down to intention. All of your actions that you do every day should have intention behind it, or else you're basically just acting as a NPC.
Hmm?
Just doing the same thing, being robotic. If there's no intention to anything, then what are you doing?
Hmm? NPC, non-playing character, folks. That's a D&D term, or it's just a role-play term. But no, even in today's world, we wonder,
But behind all of your actions, the better off you'll be, the more healthier you'll be in every single aspect of your life. It all comes down to intention. That's the first thing that you need.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And not alone. I'm finding out any project, anything you ever want to create, you can do it alone. You can definitely try alone, but the moment you start to learn how to do things together, oh my gosh, the things that occur, just the opportunities, and the body's keeping count. It's definitely keeping count, like you had said too. And that's the other part of wellness. It's not just what it is you eat, not it is what it is you, how much you work out. Not how many pounds you can hold over your head, or how many people you can lift, but it also is that aspect of being, the day to day, the hour to hour, the minute to minute, that really truly makes a difference. And that comes you right down to your own intention. Wow. Didn't think about it that way. And did you think? Okay. Oh, we're gonna find out if they did. Maybe I'll drop a little. They did. Maybe not. But what else? Is there anything else you'd like to mention in regards to health and wellness?
Yes.
Yeah. What's that?
So, but USAID was just uncovered for sending hundreds of millions of dollars to agriculture in Afghanistan, which is...
Hold on. So as of when was it agriculture? I didn't find that they called it agriculture just yet. Yeah.
So
is that the great majority of it, or
they know that they've been funding opium production in Afghanistan? That's, I mean, John just read this. There've been people saying that for a long time, and that was one of the big reasons why we were in Afghanistan. And again, this linked back to big pharma too. They want to get everybody addicted to their opiates and have a cheap opium supply.
Meanwhile, there's this whole other crowd that's like, I'd rather smoke my weed. That's just what I've heard, folks. It's just what I've heard,
But that's going to be something that's going to start coming to light here even more so soon.
I'd be curious if people will be able to also look into, if you're able to have HSA accounts, if you're able to look into other areas of health and wellness. If we're having to be severely taxed even within the state of Ohio versus, say, surrounding states for certain substances for your own health and wellness, then why not have it work and lower your taxable income? Again, I'm not here for tax fraud, folks. I'm just here for possibility. But, yeah.
There's one other thing I want to talk about, too, before I have to go. It's, I think this is like one of the greatest things that really irks me and doesn't sit right at all. And it's also a relatable experience because when I had my daughter, the first thing that they do as soon as they're born is try and give them a hepatitis B shot. And like they're trying to put substances into babies as soon as they're born, as if God didn't make them perfect already. And why in the world would you inject STD vaccine into a baby? It makes no sense. I asked the provider when she came in, how does that make any sense for you to come in here and advocate a hepatitis shot for my baby. And she said, oh, it's just a safety precaution that, she obviously didn't know what she was talking about. She's just repeating what she's told. She said, it's just a standard safety procedure and caution, just in case. I'm like, just in case what? And
hold on,
she said,
I want to get in on this because
mother has it.
right, that's it. You got it right.
I'm like, okay, well, we already tested the mother and she doesn't have it. So why are you still advocating for it? She said, oh, it's still, we still recommend it as a safety precaution. And that's just how brainwashed these are the people who are responsible for the first moments of your child's birth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what they're doing. This is their education. This is their brainwashing. They'll just inject whatever it is they're told to inject into these babies. By who? Like, who's telling them this? Who's brainwashing them to give babies STD vaccines? And the crazy thing is,
and someone who didn't, and someone who was clean, right? And you said your partner, the mother was clean. Like there was no right.
Not only does it's very rare that happens.
It's the same reason. It's the same reason why they put the stuff above their eyes. I think it's liability is what you'll end up getting as the answer, which is called erythromycin.
And it's harming. That why have autism rates skyrocketed? Autism was never a thing. Generation, 2 generations ago. Now it's like 1 in 30 kids have autism. What the fuck is up with that? No one knows. And if you have any compassion and care for humanity, for children, for babies, for innocent babies, then this should outrage you, because RFK came out and said that he saw a study that the CDC did on this hepatitis B vaccine that showed that babies that took this vaccine after their birth have a 10,000% increased chance of getting autism. 10,000% increased chance. And they threw the study out and they censored it.
Mm-hmm.
RFK knew about him before they shredded all the evidence. He overheard the meeting, got the tapes. But these are the people that are in charge of our health, our babies' health, that we're taking all of our advice from, and they don't give a fuck about all of these babies that are getting mental illnesses and chronic illnesses, fucking autism, from these given right when they're born. It's so fucked up. And I really hope that, if anything can get done, I think that should be the number one priority. Stop giving these newborns these vaccines that are harming them, that they don't need. That needs to be done immediately. That's just what I want to talk about.
No?
That really
Nothing wrong here.
Like, I had to tell that nurse no about 5 times. She was trying to push this vaccine. I had to tell like 5 times. How many parents do you think are dead?
You took a stand.
Not many.
And you had patient preference. Your daughter is a patient.
And that they know what they're talking about. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. And I feel so sad for this new generation of children and babies that are growing up with all these issues because of the pure evil that's within the CDC and the healthcare system right now. It's really sad, but I am very hopeful. We'll be seeing RFK nominated here shortly, and he's going to start turning these things around.
Yeah. Let's see what we all discover. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, we the people. So, and it's discovery nonetheless. But it's unfortunate you had that experience. Like I said, it's still a patient experience. I'm glad you were able to take your stand, because you are able to. There's the right to refuse, and the right to refuse exists. And it sounds as if that system was skirted, not more than once, too. Even though you had made your declaration. So, and if you were the ability and had the legal ability then to make that decision, then at least in my eyes, then I would still be a refusal. And then I would just chart as such, patient's father said this. But yes, I've been in the delivery room too, even during school too. And it's that. They go for the shot there, and then they put the ointment around the eyes, which is erythromycin, in case someone were to have any other kind of an STD. And I think it's honest. I don't know what the length is and the speed in which birth is from birth to birth, but I guess that I don't know what their own rationale is unless it's liability or pharmaceuticals. Again, I'm not here to provide rationale for your experience here. But what I can say is that literally there's still the right to refuse, and if not, then you're able to literally call your own attorney general, and I would look into reports on that. But again, do your own research too. But yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you for your authentic share. And as you said too, wanted to go ahead and close here, so we can go ahead and bring us back here with that empowering quote that you brought.
Cool. Thanks, Brett.
Oh, no, go ahead. Did you have your empowering quote you'd like to share with us?
Oh, you want the quote? It was which one do I want to use? It was aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort.
Aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort.
Yes, the aggressive pursuit of comfort. How it just I mean, it's the perfect quote to make you think that we have to be stepping out of our comfort zone, pushing our boundaries every day, mentally, physically, spiritually, to be healthy, because part of being in it is growing and expanding, and we need to grow and expand in all of those elements to maintain our health. If we don't, we're neglecting our duty as humans, and our bodies will age and wear faster because of that. So that's why I like that quote.
Love it. Thank you for this possibility. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And folks, this is one of the brought back episodes, as we are now returning with Empowera, and I hope you look forward to more episodes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Drago. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and you as well, folks, and stay empowered. And bye for now.